morning. I'm Pete Najarian. This is the take on this Wednesday morning. And looking back to yesterday real quickly, it was another accelerated move to the upside. A lot of that economic data that was given, that definitely was a catalyst that was pushing the markets to the upside. But again, we look at, and that was out early, as you know. But then the last 90 minutes of the day, we actually added and extended and blew up to the upside, finishing the day up over 600 points on the Dow and finishing the day 360 points higher on the NASDAQ. So the NASDAQ in that final 90 minutes added about 150 points, where the Dow added 270 points as well in that final 90 minutes. Gives you some perspective on just how much buying just accelerated into the close. Very interesting. We did finally crack that 30 number on the volatility index. We've been talking about it for a while. It's been prolonged, and we wondered, when would we start to see this finally break down and pull back? And not only did it pull back and close yesterday near that 30 area, but today we are cracking right through there and we aren't stopping. A lot of the interesting things going on. Just look back a little over a week ago to where gold was. Gold traded all the way up to 2078, and yesterday was somewhere towards 1915, giving you just a little perspective. How about the same thing with crude? Crude 8 days ago was trading 129 on the high end, and now yesterday actually got down and was closing a little bit closer towards 95. Gives you some perspective on just how big these moves have been in all different areas, but specifically that commodity space. Then I look over at the 10-year, holding above 2. It's been holding above 2, about 2.1. Really, really powerful. All of this doing what? They're going into the Fed. And this morning, we did have some commentary, obviously, from Ukraine, the leadership there, and we are teasing into that Fed call about an hour after that halftime report finishes today. I will be on there as well, by the way. So going back to yesterday, just for one last minute, what was really extraordinarily moving to the upside in that final 90 minutes or so? Well, early on, we had technology up about 1%, closed the day up more than 3%, close to 3.5%. That is a monstrous move later into the day. Consumer discretion as well moved up from just being up about 1%. That took off and actually finished above 3%. These are gigantic moves. I'm not trying to overplay it, but they really are a huge move. A little bit of a pullback from the very lows of energy, which was down nearly 5%, finished the day a little bit better than maybe off about 3.5%, maybe a little bit more than that. Semiconductors absolutely exploded to the upside early on, up about 2%, finished the day up about 4%. Across the board, where was some of that strength really directed towards? Airlines. When you look at any of those airlines, they all had a magnificent day yesterday. Semiconductors as well. Looking at names like NVIDIA and AMD and Marvell, really, really exceptional days. Chinese names making a very, very powerful move yesterday, extending that move again today, by the way. And we had names like Moderna jumping, Starbucks jumping, Tesla, and I use that as a barometer all the time for the NASDAQ. That was up 4.6% yesterday. The only area, give or take, that was really getting hammered yesterday was energy. Beta energy, of course, we talk about beta energy to the upside. Well, it works the same way to the downside, and we are seeing that happen now in names like Valero and Baker and Schlumberger, all those kind of names that we talk about all the time in the beta space. But then attached to that, Exxon and Chevron, throw in a mix a little bit of Dow, and you've got it all just getting hammered to the downside yesterday. So we come into today, commodities again under pressure. We're looking at the Fed. People are very excited. We've got a pre-market looking very, very strong, 300 plus points for the upside, 200 plus points on the NASDAQ. And all we've done is extend from those points all the way as we've gotten into this first hour of trade. Last I looked, we've been close to 500 points to the upside so far already on the Dow, 350 points or more on the NASDAQ. So you get the idea. It is really just covering it all. And when you look at the NASDAQ, there are a lot of those Chinese names involved there. And as I mentioned, the Chinese names really having another big day. And it was something that was very difficult to read recently because we've been seeing huge volumes in those big, huge ETFs that they've created, KWEB, FXI, some of these names where we've seen incredible option activity. They just haven't been right. And so the read through was, well, maybe they're selling those stocks and this is the hedge against that. Well, if that's the case, the hedge is starting to pay off because we are seeing extraordinary moves now to the upside yesterday and today in those Chinese names. We'll get into that in just a second. Gold, not doing a whole heck of a lot. Oil, neither is that. It's around 97, 98 maybe, but that's where it is. 10-year, still holding right around that 2.1, 2.2, looking at the Fed. Obviously, that's going to be a big deal. And it's not so much the number. I think we all are pretty convinced that it's about a quarter point move. What will Powell say? What will he say about the next hike? Will the next hike actually be a 50-cent hike? I'm going to give you a little bit of that transparency that he's always had. He's going to tell us, and what he tells us will be the answer. And that will be, well, we're data dependent. And I think that's where we're going to be. And we'll see how that all plays out as we get forward towards that volatility index. That volatility index has really been slipping. And today we're looking at around 27 right now for the VIX. Now, it wasn't too many days ago, it was trading 33. Not too many days ago, we were all the way up to 37. So here we are now at 27. That is a very, very rapid move, folks. And so that's something you want to keep track of. All the sectors were green early on today. Financials were leading. Financials continue to lead. But those tech names are absolutely exploding to the upside as well. Tech started out about 1% higher. Last I looked, about close to 3%. Financials started 1.7%, close to 3%. We are really seeing, again, some really big moves, not just in one name, not just energy, not just materials, not just industrials. These names across the board are having some very, very huge moves. Matter of fact, the material space up about 2.5%. Semiconductors absolutely exploding to the upside. You look at those financials, it's JP Morgan, it's Bank of America. All the participants are there. In the material space, it's Freeport, it's Vale. Those are really all well represented by some of the biggest names within those sectors moving to the upside. Casinos having a really great day today. Take a look at Las Vegas Sands and Wynn. That's outrageous again. You look at the semiconductors, Micron, Marvell, AMD, they're all having great days again today. PVH, Ralph Lauren, both having a pretty strong day as well. Those Chinese names, as I mentioned, PDD, JD, NetEase, Baidu, all of them really ripping to the upside today. Add to that Starbucks, which, let's be honest, a lot of the Starbucks is partially based upon what their situation is with those names, with those franchises in China, where they need that to open up more. And maybe at some point we will. Also, that was the news story of the day today. The fact that the CEO is stepping down, very shockingly rapid. It's going to be early April. He's stepping down. We'll bring back the old CEO and founder, and he's going to be there as an interim. This is his second term doing that. And a lot of people very excited about that as well. So a very interesting, strong move for Starbucks. We've had some call buying in there as well. So just adding to it, the one weak area in the markets right now, defense. You look at Lockheed Martin, you look at some of those names that have had a really great move to the upside, Northrop Grumman, they're pulling back. They're not getting slammed, but they are the area where we are seeing some pullbacks in the market right now. So I got two unusuals for you, and then I'm going to be jumping over to the halftime show in just a little over an hour and 20 minutes. So it should be pretty fun. Got a great show planned for you. I think the president is coming on just before us, so we'll see if that maybe shortens up the show just a little bit or not. We'll see if that. You got to work with what you got. Whatever's going on, you got to be ready. So Didi, that one stands out for me early on. There's actually a lot of different names out there, but I selected a couple that I just don't see all that often. We haven't seen Didi for a while. That's Chinese rideshare. Call it Uber of China, if you want to call it that. Trading about $2.50. Now, this is a stock that's been up significantly higher than this. And here we are towards the low end, like a lot of those Chinese names have been. So we're watching this name as it's moved to the upside. 6,800 of the March 25th expiring 4 calls getting bought today for about 6 cents, 9 cents, something like that. So just keep an eye. Very interesting to see that. We haven't seen that name in quite a while, and to see that hitting made sense. That I wanted to just give you some commentary. Very inexpensive options. It's going to have to move fast to be able to get up to those levels, to get those options moving. But we'll see. They are moving fast right now, as a matter of fact. Now, Cenovus Energy. This is another one that we don't see very often. CVE, it's Canadian oil and gas. Really interesting company. We don't see it often. It's actually not too far off of its highs either. It's held on pretty nicely. Today it was trading just above $15 a share. We had 2,300 June 16 calls getting bought in there, going for about $1.55. And oh, by the way, they're hedging against the 21s. So not expecting this to go anywhere further than 21, but looking for a move to the upside, and something we don't see very often, buying a little bit of time. These aren't March, these aren't April, these aren't May. These are June 16 calls. So keep that in mind as well. Folks, have a great day of trading. I know these markets are volatile. You've got to understand the derivatives markets. They did slow down a little bit yesterday. As a matter of fact, when I looked at those volumes real briefly from yesterday, on that monstrous move in the Dow of 600 points and 300 plus points on the NASDAQ, 34 million contracts. Given the fact that we're averaging close to 42 million contracts, that's significantly lower volume. And if you were with us last week with John and I up at TPC Sawgrass, we were talking about what the meaning of some of those volume indicators really can be a read through as well. So we'll keep an eye on that. Folks, have a great day of trading. I'll see you on the halftime.